And we are live. Hello, hello, hello. I was trying to do an inking session with you guys earlier. I did this whole thing on Facebook Live because the StreamYard was acting up. And then what happens? After filming for 10 minutes, the shit didn't work. So I'm thoroughly annoyed. so, but, so I'm trying. This is what I actually inked. It's a panel, a big panel off of the page, off of punchline number 8. I'm really irritated about it, because I did such a good job and I was talking and describing it and blah, blah, blah. And damn, I'm so pissed. So I don't know if I'll be inking again tonight. Got all this other shit to maneuver around, but that's the page essentially. We're supposed to have Chris Duckett on today. We don't have anyone scheduled for interviewing. So I thought I would do some drawing with you guys. Maybe we'll see Chris do some drawing instead. I'm just so sick of Apple and their stupid products. I don't know about you guys, but my phone is on the fritz. It doesn't act properly. It's like I have to reset. I had to reset all my settings back to factory settings in order to get the apps to work again. And it's this goddamn iCloud that I'm so sick of that just pisses me off because it links all your devices and then all of a sudden you have no memory left. And then it's like, you got to buy more memory from their iCloud service. I mean, this iPad that I have here that I was filming, it's an iPad mini, it's less than 10 years old, maybe like 6 years old. It's already obsolete. I can't update it because it's not a Surface tablet. It's annoying, So I was doing the Facebook Live on there, drawing. Mind you, I was doing Zooms on these things. I was using it for a bunch of stuff. StreamYard can't even go on there, which is weird. And this is what we're using, StreamYard. But it's just so irritating and annoying. I'm so sick of Apple. I'm going to start boycotting their stuff because they are just annoying. They're overrated. They're not even as good as they used to be. Who cares about iPhone 7 and 8 and 10 and 12 and 13 and whatever the hell the other numbers are they're up to? It's like, give me a break already, How much money do I have to spend, to get something that's quality? It's not even quality, it's all a gimmick. It's all about the look. So, that's the thing that irritates me to no end about this device crap. But let me shut up. Chris should be coming on soon, I'm just so totally irritated with all these. Everyone's just trying to stay in your pocket, and it's so irritating and annoying, I'm just thoroughly annoyed by everyone just wants to get your money. They don't want you to own anything. They want you to lease things. It's just like same thing with the cars, They don't want you to finance things. And then when you do finance it, by the time you're done paying for it, the car is worth much less than what you paid for it. It's just like enough is enough. It's like, stop ripping us off. Stop ripping off the American people. That's what I got to say. That's my soapbox. I should run for public office or something. Get these assholes. I'm getting old, right? I'm getting up there, I should just run for public office on these jerk-offs and stop them from taking advantage of the American people. It's annoying to no end. It's just so irritating. It just pisses me off. And I'm just like, enough is enough. Stop the BS. Stop the bullshit. When is enough enough? That's what I want to know. When is this all going to be over? And it's not going to be over. It's just going to get worse until you stand up and do something about it. So that's what I say. Vote for me in 10 years. So, I mean, I don't know if everyone's got their COVID shots. That's like the buzzword, like, did I vote? It's like, this whole thing is just get your bloody shot. You don't want your shot, don't get the shot. I'm not trying to advocate for things that I don't know what the hell's in this shit. You guys saw me, I magnetized myself, and I was just like, I didn't believe it. I thought it was bullshit until it actually worked. So I don't know, man. Let's talk to Chris about this. Let's see. Hey, Chris, I was just talking about COVID shots and Apple ripping people off. What do you think about this whole vaccine thing? Have you gotten your vaccines?
No.
No, why not? This is what I'm talking about.
Half of it's your fault.
My fault.
When you have a magnet sticking to your flesh.
That's what I just said. I didn't believe in that magnet thing, you know. I was like, oh, this is BS. But then I actually, after my wife did it, I was like, oh, let me try it. But I thought that was a bunch of horse shit on TikTok, but it worked.
And Eugene did it too. It is stuck to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about it is that knowing that 3 people did it, you know, Reuters and Google is saying that it's all fake.
No, I don't think it's G5. I don't think it's a microchip. You know, my friend who was working on the vaccine said there's no nanobytes on it. And even if it were, the nanobytes are a saline solution type thing. They're not actual metal. Nanobytes are not made out of metal. So people should know that. But there's something in there that I'm not telling you what it is. That's, I mean, I don't know. I've been feeling like a little kidney pain, you know, since the shots, you know, like a little aching in the kidneys, which is not good. You know.
Well, I mean, it just, I don't know if you've been reading up on everything. They're saying that men are having testicle problems. They're saying that women that are young and their period is overflowing.
Yep. Even women that haven't had a period in a long time, like menopause. Went through menopause, hadn't had a period in years, started having periods again. So crazy.
Wow. Nah, I'll wait.
But I could relate to it wasn't my testicles. Yeah, we're talking about testicles on Facebook. Testicles. It's like
balls.
Balls. It's like I did feel something like my eczema kind of broke out. You know, I don't want to go into there. But did I tell you that crazy story about going to the doctor's office?
Yeah.
You know, it's like somebody kicked me in the nuts. You know, and that was after the first shot. Though the second shot, I didn't feel it, but after the first shot, it was like maybe 2 weeks after. I just felt like somebody kicked me in the balls, like nonstop. I felt like somebody punched me in the face. You know, it's like. So I went to the doctor and I'm telling them this stuff, and they're like, they're cracking up. They think I'm a joke. Like I'm, you know. I mean, you know, I can't tell a story with a straight face. You know, they're like, this guy's either a junkie or he's like just off his lid. You know, but I mean, another thing that happened, which was weird, was I had like nipple soreness. You know, like, you know, I don't know if you know this. I mean, we've known each other a long time, but before I knew you, Chris. You know, when I was a very young man in my early 20s, I would say like 19, 20, I had a nipple ring and I pierced my nipple. I was like that was the craze. Like my little sister got her belly button. I did my nipple. And then, but it was always getting infected, you know, and she removed her ring because she got infected. Maybe our family's sensitive. And eventually, you know, when I just about turned 30, I removed it. And you know, because, you know, you have to always clean it. They have like discharge. It's gross. You know, that's why I never got earrings on my ears because, you know, you see like someone.
I think I met you around that time, but I wasn't looking at your nipples, man. I wasn't looking at you.
We met in what, in the 90s or we met in the 2000s? We met in 2004, right?
2004. We met in
2004. So 2004.
Yeah, you were 30.
I was in my 30s already. So, yeah, I was like, so, yeah, because I was 28 on 9/11. So, yeah, so it was already gone.
No, you wasn't 20 by 9/11. I had
28. I was 28 at 9/11.
Yeah, I was 20. No, you were young. You were younger.
I was 20 years old in 1990. 1990? No, 19.
My
No.
son was when my son was born. I was 29. This is his zero. This is his 0 year. So this 2001 would be his 0 year.
Right.
So I was 29. I was
Mhm.
turning 30 the December of that year. So when September 11th happened, I was 29. So you had to be at least 4 years, 5 years younger than me.
How old are you?
I'm 49 now. I turn 50.
You're only 1 year. You're only 1 year older than me. So yeah. So I was
so you're 28.
I was 28. That's what I said.
So
by
yeah,
2004, it was gone. So what happened was, going back to this nipple thing. Sorry. we can look at you drawing while we talk about my nipple. But so what happened after the first shot, I woke up one day and it was swollen, right? Like, like the nurse was saying, "Are you pregnant?" Because I was like, "Hey, my nipples are hard. This is like weird." But specifically that one that used to be pierced. I mean, the piercing healed. It took about 10 years to heal, believe it or not. Like there was a permanent hole in my chest until almost 40, like maybe 38, 38. It was about 10 years. Then it's sealed, because, like some people have earring holes for over 10 years. They don't usually close. They just stay open. So,
yeah.
But then what happened was, you said, you still had to clean it, the discharge. I might as well just have the ring in it, right? But I just didn't want to have that on my chest, becoming an educator and all that stuff. And, it's just a weird thing. I don't want to be like
you just didn't want to be the next Governor Cuomo. That's what it was.
Right, Governor Cuomo. You noticed that he had 2 nipple rings, Governor Cuomo. He's got those big ones too. What's his name? Trevor Noah pointed that out. so the thing is, yeah, it's kind of like, it's like a kid thing. You put those things away when you're young. So what ends up happening after the first shot, that swelled up, and it was like a Boston baked bean on my chest, or like, do you remember those Boston baked beans? It's like a gobstopper. That shit was like swollen, So it's sealed. I haven't had anything in years come out of there, but I just kept squeezing and squeezing, and then bursted, and all this blood and pus came out. It was disgusting. I don't even know what I'm talking about this, but it was just gross. But it was like a horror movie, like like Terminator digging out his eye. It was like that. I'm in front of the mirror, fucking X-Acto knife. That's like. So this thing exploded everywhere, and then I was like, "Oh, it was a release." It went back to normal, and then 2 days later, it came back, and as soon as it sealed, it swelled up again. So I went to the doctor, and I was talking to the nurse at the moment. I'm like, "Hey, like my nipples are hard. I feel like somebody kicked me in the crotch. My sore between my legs, and I have to take this second shot tomorrow. And I don't know if I want to take this second shot because of all these weird." The eczemas, the breakout, and all this other stuff was just weird. So I was like, should I get this shot? And this is before the whole magnet thing, right? So I didn't even do that yet. So the whole thing was that she's cracking up, and she's like, "Oh yeah." The nurse says, "I used to have those too, and back in the 90s." So she confesses to me that she also had nipple rings. I don't want to sound stereotypical, but I would expect that from like a white nurse, not a black nurse. So the black nurse told me that. I was like, "Oh, really?" I was surprised because that was not a thing, especially from the hood. It's not a thing, It's like.
No, I mean it depends on your age. If you grew up in the Gaza area,
well, we were about the same age.
Yeah, you tend to do things.
Right, exactly. I think I don't remember why I got it, but I do remember I was with my daughter's mom at the time when I did get it. She was crazy about it. So maybe she peer pressured me into it or something. I don't know. I don't even remember, but I do remember I had just turned 20 or 21 when I got it. It was like, But anyway, stupid things that we do when we're young, right? And now we're paying for them now that we're old. We're getting older, right? So anyway, I'm telling her this stuff. And then I realized that, like the pain was like a cut, So I had like, it's like that line, in the gooch, we have that line, that stitched line that looks like, when you're born, you have like that line.
Don't tell me you had that on your stomach, man.
No, that shit tore open. It was tore open. So I had like literally like a hole. So I was just joking with the nurse. I was like, I don't know. I said, is this thing? I got like, she says it's pregnant. So we're going with the joke. She's like, oh, maybe you're pregnant. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe this shot is changing me into a woman. Maybe there's like a vagina growing in there between my legs. So we're cracking up, just joking. But then this nurse goes around and then goes outside and starts talking to the other nurses, and I hear all this laughter going on. I'm like, oh my God, she did not just repeat what I said about the nipple and all this other stuff.
Yes, she did.
So I was like embarrassed. I was totally embarrassed. And I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with this lady? Like she totally like went out there and whatever happened to patient doctor nurse confidentiality. So,
well, it's there if they're telling another nurse about it. It's there.
It's not cool. It's not supposed to stay in the room,
It's not like she's conversating her boyfriend.
Right. Well, I'm sure that happened afterwards. So then it gets worse. Then the doctor comes in. The doctor's kind of snickering, right? And the doctor's like, oh, let's take a look. So I was like, you don't have to do anything. I got a picture. She's like, you got a picture? I said, yeah, I took a photo of it. So I showed her the picture of like the little cut between my legs, like tearing. And, and then I showed her the nipple in person. She's like, oh, take your pants down and, put this gown on. I was like, no, it's not necessary. She's like, you're here at the doctor's. Let's take a look.
And he jammed his finger into you, right?
It's a little Indian lady. So yeah. Yeah, so I'm like, there's nothing to take a look at. It's the phone. She was like, go ahead, don't be shy. Then she calls in this Filipino dude, and he comes in, this muscular little short dude. So I got these two midgets, basically like dwarfs, like checking me out. And she's like, hold his leg. And I'm like, what do you hold my leg? She said, all right, go to the side. And she was like, you ever had hemorrhoids? It's like, internally, I don't have any externally, but. And I think, the Zoom, I blame the Zoom meetings and all these COVID things. Like, we're trapped in here. We're trapped in during COVID time, a year and a half. You're sitting down a lot, looking at a computer. Like my eyesight's not as good as it used to be, So all this sitting, has worsened and created these internal hemorrhoids, but it's not like the hemorrhoids like when I was a kid. Like when we were a kid, you wake up and your neck's all crooked and you were stuck like that for like a few days and like, like your face swelled up. Like you had all these weird things as a kid.
Yeah, that just happened to my son the other day.
Oh, really? That was like something that was common. Like you was walking like, you're like, so I remember my little brother, he acts like my little brother, my older brother, when we were kids, I remember he had a big ass testicle blue hemorrhoid. And ever since I saw that as a kid, I was like, I'm not going to sit down that much. So that actually like, looking at that disgusting purplish thing, like really grossed me out. And it always made me want to like exercise and make sure that my ass was clean as a kid. Make sure you wipe well, clean well. And maybe that's why I wipe too hard. Maybe that's how I got the internal ones, because I'm always wiping into the.
Really, Ray?
Gotta make sure that shit's clean. You don't want anything down there, right? So
let's talk about art, man.
No, but the funny thing is, so she goes and says, "Go on your side," and then she fucking does that little fucking surprise and sticks me in the where, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then as I screamed it, because I half expected it, but I didn't expect it. And she put her whole fucking finger in there, like all the way to the knuckle. Like I felt that shit. And then everybody outside the doctor's office is laughing and roaring and cracking up. I'm like,
but she told him that she was going to do it.
I was like, what the fuck? But anyway, and then the fucking guy holding my legs, cracking up. I'm like, yo, this is fucked up. I need a drink. And then he's like, He can't stop laughing. He goes, I'll get you some water now. Motherfucker never came back. All right. Then he goes out. They all start cracking up more. I'm like, shit, man. Good thing I had my hat on, because if they saw the red hair, then it'd really have a laugh. This is Ronald McDonald, crazy motherfucker, talking about a swollen nipple. So anyway, Dr. Confidentiality doesn't exist. They do talk shit about you when you go to the doctor's office, right in your face. And at the end of all that, at the end of it, guess what happened?
What?
Nothing. She didn't prescribe me any medication. She didn't prescribe. I walked in the same way I walked out. I still had the same problem with the fucking nipple. Still had the fucking eczema crotch and the gooch and shit, with the cut. She's just like, oh, don't use too much peroxide. Don't clean it too much, whatever, So I was over cleaning, over sanitizing it. So, and then I'm just like, wow, I feel like a real asshole. And got a finger to boot right in it. So
where did you go?
This fucking doctor over here. So I'm like, this fucking millennials, god damn it. Between the Gen Xers and the millennials, it's just like, whatever happened to those old ass doctors when we were, they're probably all dead, right? When we were kids, a doctor was like an old person. They were very serious. They didn't joke around with you. They were very straight. They had terrible bedside manner, but they were straight with you. They just told you what was wrong. Now you got to
remember, doctors back then didn't jump from. They didn't jump from clinic to clinic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're supposed to be talking about comics, but I'm just saying it's so disgusting. It's just like that's my fucking gripe, man. It's just like, people in our generation are fucked up, and then the younger generation, the millennials, are just as fucked up. It's like, how do you start talking about pay? I mean, wait till I leave. Give me the courtesy to at least try, or give me some medicine. It's like I left there with an infected chest, and these problems, and then I had trouble sitting down after that. It's like, guy said he's gonna get me some water, never came back. It's like I felt like I was raped in the doctor's office. What the fuck? But anyway, I don't know, man. Next time I'll probably have, it's like that was just a humiliating, in retrospect, funny. I can laugh about it, but it was a humiliating experience, and I'm just like, this is what's wrong with our society.
I mean, they didn't send you no email afterwards or anything like that?
No, man. I got charged $15 for a copayment on top of it. It's just like, what the hell is wrong with these doctors today? It's like they basically violate you, make fun of you. It's just like, Jesus, man. That's like worse than being in high school or middle school, like with a school bully, It's like, it's horrible. So this is the pitch. This is the page that I was working on that was recording. Let's stop talking about assholes now. Look at that. So it was all light pencil sketch. Then I was inking it. It was coming out great. And then the fucking thing didn't record. I'm just like, this is annoying. Let's see. It's just like, it was really, really annoying. So we have somebody from Twitch. If you guys want to comment on my crazy doctor visit or have a similar experience, can comment as Chris shows his stylistic drawings and his art. Now, I got a present today from Trevor Von Eden. This book that he worked on. He worked on this indie book. Look how thick this thing is. He drew like most of it. It's called All Time Comics, Zerosis, Deathscape. It's a fucking weird ass comic. It's like an underground type of book. He didn't do the cover. They should have paid him for the cover because they have this really funky artist on here. But they basically took all these golden age characters and made this underground book. I love it. It's kind of crazy. It has like this creepy vibe to it. The colors are. were the black and whites were much stronger than these colors. The colors kind of wash out the details of these pages, you know. And now that it's published, I think these are the same pages I was going to show you. I was showing you guys last week. It's an awesome looking book, funny as hell. You know, it's all like the old school. It's like a modern take. It's like a Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt type thing with Golden Age heroes, but it's drawn in this underground style. And let me see if I can share some of the pages now that I know it's published. I can share it. Share my screen over here. Hold on, let me open up the pages first before I do that. So, what are you working on? What are you drawing?
I'm working on you and Gary's book.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So you said you did the Minotaur, right?
Well, I'm still inking everything.
Ah.
Gonna make a change to a panel, but it's not nice. My phone is a little bit overheating, so.
Yeah, you know, I think they're doing that on purpose so that they force you to buy a new one. It is crazy frustrating the way they do these things. Let me see if I get this drive over here. Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm trying to flip the camera on the phone. Yeah.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Oh, I gotta put this drive in. What's this? My camera. I'm going to switch cameras in a minute. You might see me blank out for a while. So set up.
There we go.
All right, cool. Looks good. Can you hear me? Oh, yes, you can.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, I gotta adjust my camera. This looks good. I like that. That looks great. That's pretty cool. That is
so.
Zoom in on that. That's very strong. Did you show this to Gary before inking it, or you just going straight for it?
Well, Gary's seen this in pencils.
Oh, all right.
He's seen this.
Okay.
And I'm not heavy penciling. I'm doing something like this.
Right.
And then just ink it.
Right.
So.
Let me try to see if I get this camera back online now that I'm a little silly.
Everything's like messing up. I don't know if we getting hit by solar flares.
So, is there any solar flare? No, I unplugged my camera intentionally to look up some folders. I should have unplugged my mic instead. Let me see if I can switch that out. Let me see. It's like the microphone's actually pretty strong. Let's see. Let me boost up your page over here. Let me remove myself from the stream.
You can see it? You still got it?
I'm just adding myself to the stream. Can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
And my camera's still funky. All right, let me
give you you got it turned off.
No, I did. I'm trying to put back the Mac. Oh, there it goes. There we go. I got. Yeah, it took me a while. All right, good. Okay, good. All right, there we go. All right, let's see that page. I'm gonna make you the main feature here. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Boom. All right, cool. That looks good. And what's happening on the top two panels there? Top three panels.
Well, in this part of the script, let me get the script. Hold on. Luke asks her, "Who are you people?"
Right.
In the page before, and Nikki goes, I asked you first. That's in the page before this. And right here, she says, fine. And then she reveals herself.
Oh, cool. That's what she
and
shows
he's
her
like,
full-on self.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, but this panel right here, I'm thinking about a whole full body. So, I mean, this is just, I don't want it to be half like the way I got the Minotaur, but
Right.
I mean, I'm going to change this to probably a whole full body shot. So she reveals herself. And then he's like, wow. And then he questions, what's his name? Milo?
Right. Milo.
Yeah. He questions him, and then he starts shaking his head. So he's changing. He's in mid-change. And he finally comes out to look like this. So it's like,
cool.
And the next following page, they ask, who are you? And
so they all start showing themselves for who they are.
Yeah, so they're revealing themselves of who they are. And
cool.
I got everything discombobulated over here. So
Discombobulated. Let's see. We got 2 people watching us, one on Facebook. Heard my embarrassing story. And then we got one on Twitch. And they're like, what the fuck? These old people, It's like, that's when you know you're getting old, man. You start talking about your fucking doctor visits. It's like
it's been let's see.
My cousin says it looks good. I missed out on what you were mad about. Uh-oh. There we go. One on Twitch. That's the thing. You can't make comments on this thing. That's the bad thing about it. Yeah, it's so crazy. So take a look at this now. This is the page that I was talking about. So I just showed you the book in color, all-time comics. Anybody who's into Trevor Von Eeden should check this out. It's a cool book. But the original art, the book doesn't do the art any justice, which is it's a shame. It's a shame that's the reality of it. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Take a look at this stuff, Chris.
Oh, no.
I mean, this is just incredible stuff. I can't really go in order because it's kind of. Can you see this? Can you see this stuff? Look at this. I mean, this thing is like mind blowing. Do you see this page? I mean, the details are out of control. And then when you look at it in color, it's like they totally flattened everything. What page is that? 20 and 21. They totally flatten it. I'm like, what's going on with this thing? It's just like, what the heck? Did I lose you, Chris? I lost Chris. Hold on, let me put him back in.
No, I'm back. I'm back.
So yeah, I mean, like they really didn't do the colorist, didn't do him justice. I mean, look at this page. You see this? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. This is 2 pages here. It's got the superhero on a rhino, on a horse, and there's a rhino, and there's another prehistoric creature, and and again, it's like an homage to the golden age of comics. I mean, look at this. So there's some of the characters are kind of silly, like this dude here. But I mean, look at that. I mean, this guy is just the panel work. It's just like he really has transcended comic books. I think he takes that spirit of Kirby and that playfulness of the golden age comics, and look at the way he just composes his panels. You have like Eisner in here. Look at this. I mean, what the hell is going on here? I mean, the guy is exploding in all the panels, and I'm just like, what page is that? It's like 32. And what's interesting is that when I'm looking at it in this book, they didn't even lay it out in the same order. It's like 32 there is not 32 in here. So I got to like fish around for these pages. Yeah, it's totally a different artist in this book. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what the hell they did. But I mean, the guy is clearly a master craftsman. The name of the book is the name of the series is Bullwhip. The character that he's drawing. So these are all like these golden age characters that he basically rebooted. I mean, look at that. Look at that explosiveness of the character flying out of the page.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fire. He's really good at drawing atmospheric, perspective with fires and explosions. And so, I mean,
and he's thinking that all himself.
Yeah, and it looks like he did it with a Sharpie on this outside black area. That looks like Sharpie to me because you can see or like a designer or something. It's like you can see the strokes, and then this here is done with traditional brush and quill, And he might be using some microns there too. But I mean, look at these panels. It's just like intimidating. I mean. And there's action in every panel. There's a lot going on. Look at this. So I just
really, I love the way he puts in his lettering. That's something I need to get in the concept of doing.
Yeah, I've been practicing my lettering too. I used to do it in the 90s, and then I had an actual letterer work on my books. And then for the Trump book, I was going to hire Dan. He did the title, but by the time he came into the picture, the book was already the deadline. We were past the deadline, and I couldn't have him re-letter the whole thing. That would take forever. So I told him, don't worry, Dan, the next project, you'll be lettering the whole book. I was preparing the punchline for him to letter, and then he passed away. So you can't take people for granted. That's for sure. You gotta, God puts people in your life during a certain point of time. And if you don't jump on that time period, it expires, We can't expect people to live forever, I mean, look at this. I mean, this is just nuts. The building, the horse, the train, the cars, like the truck. I mean, look at this. Look at the building and then the panels.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I mean,
it's also got a lot of Neil in there too.
Yeah. Because he worked for Neil Adams. He worked for Neil Adams' studio. For a long time. So yeah, you definitely have that Neil Adams discipline in there,
Yeah.
And what's sad is that they have this underground artist here, and I feel like they purposely try to make. I mean, well, this is like what we were talking about the other day. Remember, we were talking about like how like they try to make it look like, even though there's like 5 different artists in here, they colored it cohesively so that it looks like one artist did the whole book, but then it's like they compromised his stuff so that the other artists, I mean, the colors look fine with the underground stuff, but his stuff has more of a mainstream feel. And it feels like the colorists compromised his details so that they didn't stand out as much as the other guys, which was a shame because look at these pages. I mean, look at that panel. I mean, it's just nonstop, and
Well, I mean, if it's the same colorist on everything, I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't say he's compromising him. I'm saying that the guy's probably not a great colorist.
Yeah, it's just too flat. I mean, really, it's like these dynamic pages are just totally flattened out. Like he really they basically killed the details. With too dark, the colors are too dark, I mean, look at that page right there. Look how amazing that is, right? And then I found
it. Does it say who the colorist is and who the other artist is? Is it 2 different people?
So look at this crazy ass page, right? And then when you look at the actual, I don't know if you can see my thing. Let me switch over.
No, I can't see it. I need to. I can't.
Switch over to this. So let me go to the 2-shot there. All right, so then when you look at this page here, this is the same page. Like it's overcolored. Like you can't even see any of the details. They threw the text right in the middle of it.
Well, you also got to understand this. If you take I mean, it depends on the colors that you setting in. I mean,
and then the paper too. If it was gloss paper, it would pop, but it would. It's matte paper, so it's kind of like my Trump book. They screwed up on that Trump book with that whole thing, you know. Like, so, I mean, but you see this. I mean, look at this page. It's just crazy good, and they just ruined it. I mean, look at the panel work here. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 panels on an 8x10. You know, that's the thing. The scale of this is 8x10 too. So it's not like you're not looking at an 11x17 page, you know, or an 18x12. This is typing paper, you know. This is typing paper size.
He's mastered that.
You know what I'm saying? This is on typing paper. Like, what the hell? You know, these
I asked him once, can he apprentice me? And he told me no, that he's not in the right position to apprentice anybody.
Well, I feel like he's probably like most of us, that we probably think that we're not, you know, we haven't reached our apex. We're still learning, you know, and he definitely has that attitude of always look. They cropped his page too. I mean, that dinosaur one, they didn't do it justice at all. It's like they made the whole comic book look like a black light poster. I mean, but this stuff is great. I mean, I don't know. It's like the details. I mean, go back all the way back up to the top with that horse. The first one. I mean, this page here. I mean, look at this with the full-on truck, right? And then I'm looking at it here, and they actually cropped the hell out of it. You know, they cropped it. Like, it's just like, what the heck? I mean, why would they do such a thing? You know, they just totally. And then it looks like a black light poster. You know, look at those colors, man. It's that beautiful black and white page. They flattened it.
And they cut out the rest of the truck.
Yeah, they cut off the truck. They cut off the horn. There was a lot of stuff going on here that they.
Well, I understand cutting out the horn a little bit, but you don't cut out, especially when it comes to a vehicle.
Right.
You never cut out.
Like they bled.
They probably don't know how to crop it correctly instead of shrinking it down and expanding the borders.
Yeah, and they cut the horse's foot off. I mean, and then look at this guy. He's so dark purple, you know? This guy has like this Hal Foster look to him, you know? Like this guy went deep in. He has this Hal Foster look to it, and then they just kind of like, I'm still gonna have fun reading it. It's just I like looking at his artwork, and even the indie stuff doesn't bother me. I actually like the underground stuff, but I feel like they downplayed his work with the colors. You know, I mean, the expressions, you can't get away from that. I mean, that just looks, and his panel work. But it's so purple that you don't even see what's going on. It's just too much purple going on. You know.
Well, the thing is that people need to go back to old school where everything had a different color.
Right.
Backgrounds should not be ignored like the way you're trying to be artistic as far as your colors. To me, that's a lazy colorist.
Yeah. I mean, look how clear this is. This is the other artist. Look how clear this is. It's simple, it's clean, and it's readable.
I can't see it. I didn't see it. You know. You froze for a second. Let me see it.
There, can you see it now?
Yeah, I sort of get it. He also tried to copy one of his pages. Turn back to that page right there.
Yeah, it's like they basically clean. This is a cleaner coloring, you know. It's like much cleaner.
No, but I'm saying that the panel scape in that page.
Right.
He's almost trying to reminisce the page that he has like 11 panels.
Well, let me see if he did this one. That's number 46. Yeah, you're right, because he didn't. Let me see. Did he do number 46? Oh, actually, that is a Trevor page, but it's colored. It's colored better. They colored it better. So that is. It has a more cartoony look. He did it more cartoony, I guess, to match the other artist at first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they just totally, I don't know, man. I mean, but the other stuff, all right, this is not him. This is somebody else. But look at how clean. This is easier to understand. It's cleaner. It's not muddy, you know? But it's like when they got to him, it's like they didn't know how to handle him. So they just made it all muddy. Like, look at this one. This is, again, overcoloring. Like, this is one of his pages. It's overcolored. You can't, you know? It's like, why did they go that deep? I don't know. It's crazy, but it is what it is. All-time comics, Zero's Deathscape. It's a fun book, you know? I got it all fucked up. I don't know how. I just got it today in the mail. And this is from FWC, Floating World Comics. I never heard of this company before. Sam Bayer, Josh Bayer, and Benjamin Mara. That's the
where it says they're from. Where it says anything where they're from, what state?
The book, I think, is Seattle. Let me see. Yeah, let's see. I mean, it is a cool. Josh Simmons, front and back covers. Dan Pastoras, Brendan McCarthy, Jason T. Miles is the color guy. Oh no, and it says color by Darren Schuler. Darren Schuler fucked up big time.
Why don't you tell him that, Ray? Just tell him.
I just did. So you got a few colorists here. So Josh Simmons is the one that colored Trevor Von Eden on pages 194 inside covers. Then you got a few colors here. Skinner, 197, Tara Booth, 198, Tom Toyle, 190. They got so many people coloring this thing. That's probably the problem. I ran into the similar problem when I was working on the Trump book. There was just so much to color that I ended up getting these other colorists, and then it was like kind of hard to manage. And then I got the flats from Dan. Dan worked on the flats. And the flats look like vomit colors, but I don't know why people flat color that way. I never liked flat color. When I flat color, I try to make it at least remotely close to what I wanted. I'm not going to do like they do the opposite colors. I never understood that. I don't agree with it either. I think it looks ugly. Then they got this outer space scene that looks like pink lemonade. Like this looks like a flat coloring that they just left. This looked like the whole book was flat colored and they couldn't afford to pay the colorist to finish it.
Oh, that's bad.
It's bad, right? Look at that. This is supposed to be outer space, and it's like all pink lemonade. This is like Winston Blakely colors, you know? It's like
you want to know the I don't know if I ever showed you this, but this is the Bible done as a comic book.
Right. Oh, is that the Robert Crumb one? Is that the one that Robert Crumb worked on?
Hold on. Joe Rubenstein inked some of these pages.
Oh, nice.
And the artwork.
Let me disconnect this thing.
I don't know if you've seen this. You see the cover?
Let me make you the main thing here. Let me drop you in. All right, let's. Oh, that looks cool. That looks great.
Now the inside is. Let me move. Well. Move the camera. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm gonna adjust my camera here too. Yeah.
All right, hold on.
Oh, he disappeared again. I'm going to set up now so I could do some inking. I'm going to try to do this the right way. Just trying to figure out how we're going to do this. I want to ink this page here. I mean, after all, we called this segment Inking with Ray Felix, and you didn't see anything because of all the computer problems. So Chris is loading in. I'm going to add him back to the stream. You back?
Yeah, but this thing is so it's so messy. It's
what's so messy?
Like how to control your camera.
Yeah, you have to kind of go to the lower lower area here. There's a low area where it says cam and mic type of thing, and then that's where you would. So right now I have my FaceTime HD camera, and it should be the other one in there, but it's not. So where are you at? Did he disconnect again? Oh my goodness, these technical difficulties. What's going on here? Technical difficulties. Hello, Chris. I think we lost Chris again. Might have to start another stream. This is totally nuts. There we go. USB camera. Here we go. All right, we're back in action. All right, so it looks like we lost Chris. Oh, he's coming back. And he's back. Oh, let's see. Oh, that looks cool. Who drew that?
It's a whole bunch of different artists.
All right.
It's a whole bunch of different artists. There's too many to.
I'm gonna get out of this menagerie of wires over here. I'm gonna go over to the art table while we're looking at yours. Book over here. So this is a Bible comic book. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, so I got it just because it starts off this way, you know,
just lost the page.
And then, you know,
that looks
Garden of Eden.
Looks like they were inspired by the Crumb version, because Robert Crumb did the Bible first many years ago. It was a thick ass book too. It was like a few hundred pages. He did the book of Genesis.
Actually, Kubert School alumni also did a version. I got it. I think I got it somewhere downstairs. But he got his own version. You know, so it's got some good colors to it. You know, I like the way they put the lion. Look at the lion's head in the spot, the sausage spot.
Yeah.
And instead of having a snake, they got the dragon. You know,
the dragon, yeah. But that's just a metaphor for renewal. You know.
But I mean, it has several different artists.
That's great. Who's the main headliner?
It doesn't say. I got to go through the whole book. I got to. Let's see the back.
Everyone's taking a look at the place. Like, hey, where does he live? Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it doesn't. You have to go on kingstonebible.com, I guess, to see the artist.
Kingstone Bible. So it's uncredited. I guess they're trying to say it's biblically inspired. It's not William Shakespeare or Chaucer. Yeah, that looks great though. That looks fantastic. Omari says, I'll be back. Some artwork looks better in black and white. Yep, he does. Omari, thanks for. We're all here to enjoy the Bronx Heroes. Thank you, Omari. Didn't hear any story. Sorry. Yeah, you don't want to hear my story. My story's crazy. Hey, it looks like my video finally popped up. It took a few hours, but it looks like that Facebook Live video just popped in. That was like 2 hours ago or something like that. So, yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, that looks great. Yeah, I'll make you the bigger screen here. Let's see if we get this going. Yeah, this is still trying to figure this out. Here you go. Now, what company put that book out? It's always good to see something different. We don't always talk about. It irritates me when I just see Marvel and DC all the time. You know.
It's called like, Kingstone.
Oh, Kingstone. Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Kingstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, there we go. Now we go back to your page.
It's got fantastic art. It's got art that I some artists I don't like.
Right.
Like here, it seems like they got another artist in. You know, he was, the basic. But I like it.
Humid right now. It is so humid right now that my page is actually curling. In the comic book that I was just showing you,
yeah,
the pages started curling because of the humidity. You know, because I'm in the mountains and stuff, so it's kind of like very humid.
Yeah.
You know, that's a cool book, though. I'm gonna look that one up.
It's on Amazon.
I'm not a very religious guy, but I mean, I do enjoy. That is one of the first epic books I ever read, though.
It's a 3-book collection.
Yeah. I don't know many people that have read the Bible to its entirety like I did, but they're like elderly people would read it, you know, like, you know.
Look at this. You see this? This is the second one.
Oh, wow. So they went all in. Was that King Herod or Nebuchadnezzar?
I don't know.
He's like, I didn't read it. Read it.
I read it. I just bought it because it's just think about it. If you want to do a time period piece, I mean, this is great.
Full of information, for sure. Yeah. So who are some of your favorite inkers? Since we're both inking pages and stuff here, who are some of the inkers that you liked when growing up?
Terry Austin.
I knew you were going to say that because of John Byrne, right?
Terry Austin.
Did you ever see Terry Austin ink Ron Lim?
No.
He did a cover of Silver Surfer back in the 90s. Silver Surfer was like an upshot of Silver Surfer's face flying. And it was great, man. I was like, that was beautiful. That was the best time. That was the best Silver Surfer cover that ever came out, you know, because
yeah, Terry Austin, that's it. I mean, Rubenstein, I think he's better now. And I don't want to disrespect the man. I mean, but I think he's better now. He was very heavy to me back in the 80s.
I'm not being disrespectful to the man. I'm not being disrespectful to him. I'm just saying that during the time he was no John Byrne, you know, but he had that hot style. He had that hot style back in the day that people liked, you know. He was popular. You know, I was a fan. I loved Ron and stuff, but he was no John Byrne, you know. That's all I'm saying. You know, John Byrne had a specific. John Byrne was basically the Jack Kirby of the 80s, you know. He actually wanted to be called the king of comics. He wanted to be considered the next king of comics, but they were like, no, there's only one king, Jack. He's kind of a cock for even suggesting that. There's only one king, you know. That's like saying, oh, well, who's going to replace Elvis? Nobody. You know?
Well, I mean, you gotta think about it. I don't think that this is just my opinion. Jack Kirby is called the king. Jack Kirby is called the king for one reason.
What's that?
He created Marvel Comics.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And the thing about it is that
monthly comics.
When you got artists that actually worked with him and Stan Lee, and you know, some of them are dead now.
He was the go-to guy. Even Eisner hired him. You know, and they worked under pseudonyms. You know, they were publishing so many books that
yeah. But
you know,
I'm just saying, in particular, if you got so many people that said that, you know, Stan didn't have no ideas. Stan didn't do this. Stan didn't do that. You know, artists used to come in with their own pages and have a story already set, and
that's true.
Stan would pick up, you know, and go like, oh, for the next issue, you should have this. And then they go home and do it all on their own. For a man to put his name in every single thing as a top person and stole their clout, that's what a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, this guy created Marvel Comics. He created, you know, 90% of the characters that they have today.
And he saved Marvel Comics, because if you remember the stories with the Spider-Man story, they were planning to shut down because their sales were so terrible.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man, when the sales came in, that kept them in business. They sold enough copies to stay in business.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't like to give Jack Kirby credit for Spider-Man, but let's face it, he drew Spider-Man as a finished comic book, and then Stan Lee gave the idea to another artist, and then he redrew the whole thing, and Joe Staten, not Joe Staten, not Joseph Stalin, my son over here with his 2 cents, it's like Joseph Stalin. What the hell's wrong with this kid? I don't understand. Joseph Stalin. What's it? Joe Simon says very clearly in Chalk. What was the name of that? I'm saying Chalk because I'm a teacher, but it was this other thing that Eisner had, this interview thing he did, and that was in the magazines. Shop Talk. It was done. It was lettered, and Jack Kirby walked in there with all these ideas, with all these comic book ideas and comic books completed. Fantastic Four was already done. All that stuff was done.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was done, and then this guy and Joe Simon told him not to go to Stan with it, to do it himself, but he didn't. He didn't listen. So, I mean, had he just gone into business and Joe Simon at that time was getting out of it, but I mean, had he just went and had the gumption to just do it himself, because he was already doing it himself, history would have been writing a different story,
Yeah.
I didn't quite catch that. No one's talking to you, Siri. Look at these. Stop listening, Siri. I can't do that, but you can check settings. What's wrong with this thing, man? These people are just spying on us nonstop. Siri, mind your business. So this is the first one. The video just popped up now, but this is the first one that I did, which I showed you already, and I just did this one here. So I just cranked that little bad boy there. And this kid's intimidating me. Like he's hiding. Look at that little coward. Go, run. So I'm going to hit this one up now. I don't actually like this panel too much. I think her eyes are a little too big, but I'm going to just ink it anyway. I don't care. Can you not do that when I'm inking? Yeah, man. Does your kids do that? Well, your kids are big now, but did your kids do that? Like try to jump on you when you were inking your comics?
Huh?
Did they ever do that? Stop messing around. Yeah. Did you ever experience that, Chris, from your children?
What from my children?
Like when they were like Indigo's age, did they try to jump on you, or like when you're drawing?
No.
Because they get the whoop ass, right? They're not gonna mess around. I need to whip this kid more. He hasn't had a whipping since he was super young. I don't remember when. That's how long ago it was. 2 years ago. Yeah, you wish.
No, I was just looking at the door. You gotta remember, my sons didn't they didn't talk, and all that stuff.
They didn't have a rude mouth like my kid, right? My son's too much like me.
My sons knew from Raziel knew from when he was a baby. When Highland started walking around, Raziel had to be about 5, 6 years old, and he knew to tell Highland, "Don't touch Daddy's art table."
Yeah, they show him the scars.
There's no scars. My son's right here. My son can answer for himself.
The kid got an eye patch when he was 5. How's it going, Highland?
Raziel.
How you doing, Raziel?
Everything's going good. You?
Doing good. Are you gonna follow in your dad's footsteps in the comics, or what?
He's a writer. He's gonna do better things.
Do better things.
But I want to say that
to make better versions of ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah. My son is hoping will be a successful YouTuber, so I can, have a retirement and live off of his millions.
You're not getting any.
You know, am I gonna get any?
You're going straight to the nursing home. That's where I'm going.
You hear this kid? He says,
Wow.
No.
He's gonna put you and Momo in a nursing home.
That's what he just said. Look at this kid, man. What's wrong with this kid?
What's some other Indigo?
I know. So rude.
What are you gonna do to your mother?
Hey, you gonna put her in a nursing home too?
I don't know.
I don't know. He hasn't decided. What a little jerk. No. I hope you're joking. Oh, yeah, oh my God, it's getting too much. All right, enough. It's okay. I try to be a good parent. What can you do? He says, but I'm not. Meanwhile, this kid's sitting over here with a computer, microphone. He's got everything. When I told my dad I wanted to be a trumpeter, learn how to play the trumpet, he was like, no. Anything that I wanted to do was no. Any music instrument, anything, creative was no. That's why I had to pay for my own art school, and still paying for it. Still paying off my college tuition. It's like my parents didn't support anything that I did. Meanwhile, I'm like funding this kid, I'm getting that money back, kid. Whether you like it or not. It's like, he has no idea. What you drawing over there, Chris?
I'm just messing around now.
I was actually working on Bob Sidaro's last page, which I should be doing now, but I wanted to start something from scratch. Just trying to get this thing here. All right, so we got that done. So, see, when I ink, I just kind of fly through it. I try not to think too much. I didn't even like this panel, but I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. And then, if I change my mind later, I can always go back into it and change it. Like this arm here, I was trying to figure out which arm I should use, but I ended up with the lower one, which I think is the better arm. So
I think I told you that, right?
Yes, you may have. But I drew them. They were both there before I asked you.
Yeah, you said which one? You said which one would be better, the lower or the higher? I said the lower.
The lower. That's right.
Yeah.
You did indeed, sir. You did indeed. So yeah, it's just.
But once again, when paneling out, you should never have anything. Nothing should be squished into the panel just to make the scene.
Yeah, true. I do have a thing with proportions. Yeah. Part of it's intentional, but I just try to think about like how the French directors shot their films. Like some of them had like some scenes are atmospheric and some things are very like detailed and so forth. And then sometimes they had these really. There was one movie that I watched. What was the name of that movie? And everything was like a close-up or a medium shot. And I felt like it was like an old 60s comic book, but it was like a 90s film. And it was very pastoral, like a comic book, like you're looking at a Liechtenstein. But it was like intentionally, everything was like cropped and crammed in. And I just thought it was so fascinating.
Yeah, but when you stuff on film is not crammed in. It's set.
No,
whatever the camera's going to be.
Oh, yeah. Huh? Not every panel should be, but if it's done for a purpose, then that's that's one thing. But no, I do have.
It's like this. If you got the arm,
right?
Let's say my arm can't fit for the pose that I have.
His arm.
I can't.
That's what
meaning that the proportions.
Right.
You see?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
So if I got this, I'm not gonna have the panel cut this way and then bring the arm over this way
Right.
just because it doesn't fit there.
Right. Right.
So I'm not going to squish the character in to make him fit. I'm going to draw the character the way he naturally would be.
Right.
And if I have to cut the panel, you know, it just has to be that way. You know, so like the arm coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna shrink down that arm because of it doesn't fit in the panel, and then make it fit in the panel.
Right.
By making it unproportioned to the character size. So I try to stay to what I technically I envision in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're shrinking things in, is sometimes, you know, I'm not saying all artists do it, but there are a lot of people that, especially publishers.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you,
be honest, Chris.
You see a lot of these professionals, like they tear us up as people that want to be independent artists. They tear us up and go like this: how are you going to be you want a big company to look at you, and they go like this: well, you're not doing a comic book right. Well, you're not doing this and this and that right. But you want us
too. That's why they're going to shoot you down too. You have to nod. When I went to SVA, all these teachers were like shooting the hell out of you, trying to like discourage, because they knew that their time was slowly going to come, and that you were the next in line, and they wanted to take out as many of you as possible. So
I don't think Image and these independent companies like Dark Horse, I don't think they're looking to take you out. I think they're looking to go into who's the new best thing.
As individual artists, I think the competition. You know what I mean? The stiff competition. There's only so many jobs.
No, you're talking about the artist himself. You're talking about an artist,
not the company. Himself. The artist. Yes. Yeah.
But if you're talking about like a company like Image is run by the artist.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a specific. They're very different from other companies. Most companies aren't run by artists. They're run by company men. They're not run by creative people. You know.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that even though it's run by artists, they want you to be that artist. So by them looking at you to be that artist, they're not looking at fast. They're looking at, okay, if you're gonna be cartoony has to fit the style. It has to fit the story. If you're gonna be the next Jim Lee, next John Byrne, the next Kirby, they want it to be a solid comic. They don't want people to come in and one day your artwork looks like this, the next day your artwork looks like that.
Right. Exactly.
So the thing is that if you're gonna do a comic, you know, and also you're trying to put in that first impression, to get in, you can't be soft on yourself and say, hey, I'm gonna just do this because I feel like doing it.
Right.
You know, it's like you got to treat it like a job. And then, I mean, Tom McFarlane even said that. McFarlane said that on one of his things, that he had to treat himself as doing a comic book as if he was doing a job. Right. So he would get up early in the morning, stay up, and then keep doing it until it was the end of the day. And then he would go about doing what he had to do. Right. And a lot of us think that, oh, I can do a comic book, and a lot of people can't.
Yeah. Very true.
I mean, I'm on this thing on Facebook. I think it's called Amateur Comic Artists or something like that. Right. And there's guys going like this. Oh, how do I become a brand? Asking stupid questions. Questions.
It's not a stupid question. I mean, branding is in itself, that's a tricky one. You know, you have to really have a focus, you know, and you have to have some consistency as well. You know, with you have to have some goal setting. Like, if you want to make a brand, you have to have your little blackboard out and like really just focus on what's important. What's the message of that brand? What are you trying to communicate to people? What are you offering people? you know, like Bronx Heroes, it was a comic book, but then I felt like, you know, it should be more. It should be something that relates to the community, you know? And then so it became a community comic book show. But originally it was just me drawing comics and putting out books, you know? So, but it became a brand more so for the conventions than the actual comic books. So people forgot that there was a comic book there. I mean, they came to the show, they saw the books were there, but the books became the vehicle to promote the show, you know?
Yeah, but these are people that they want to do a brand, but it's like when you see anything, okay, your brand is actually different from the comic. Your brand is actually could be bigger than what you're doing at the moment.
Right.
But there's like people out there asking about brand and they have no idea what to do.
Right. And take a business course, I would say.
And then, oh, how do I start my comic book? Stuff like that. It's like,
right.
Okay.
Some people are at the ground floor. Some people are really at the ground floor, and then you have to. You know, I guess you just have to invest the time to really find those things out. I mean, I think a blog might be helpful, but I don't think that's not. What's that?
No, up. Right there on the side of the TV. Up.
Oh, over here.
Press that.
He's looking for the remote control. It's under the couch. Check between the cushions.
So, the thing is this is like, okay, when you were a kid,
right?
How do you start a comic book? So,
sure, of course.
How did you start a comic book? You just started drawing. That's it.
Right,
I got this character. This character could do this. This character could do that. Draw your character.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
That's all you got to do.
As you get older, you start to play around with stories. When you start dating, you start to put what you're going at through a date with. You know, your character's dating this girl, and they break up. The character goes crazy, destroys the universe, whatever.
Right.
you start doing things just to be doing it. It's like a lot of people are so burnt out because they really don't read comic books. They're just fanboys.
Right.
And
I agree.
And they just want to draw. You know, I got this one guy. He's drawing Deadpool.
Right.
With a cape and everything. Basically, to me, looking like Spawn.
Why does he have a cape?
Like, oh, this is my new character. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's not your new character. It's a bite off of another character.
Well, you know what? A lot of people do that because of the TV shows and the movies. And whenever there's a movie out, it's just like when The Matrix came out, and then every movie that came after that was just a rip off of The Matrix. I think when something's popular in culture, like same thing, like a lot of Black creators after Black Panther came out, they started having these Black Panther-like characters. And of course, Black Power got lumped in with that, even though the book was already like 10 or 12 years old when that movie came out. But it's like, but then all of a sudden, any Black character, or like Black Lightning, now you have all these Black Lightning characters, you know, like it's just people are influenced and inspired by these characters. So as they're trying to go through their creative process, they're like experimenting with their versions of those characters. Like, what if, you know? And I did the same thing with World Without Superheroes. You know, I always wanted to write the Justice League, and then I was like, well, let me write my version. You know, it's like
yeah, but you gotta look at it like this. Okay, let you write your version. Is your version actually really Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman? No,
it's just taking those archetypes though and playing with them. And those archetypes are actually mythological if you think about it. They're the modern gods, the modern myths, superheroes. You know. I mean,
yeah, but you don't once again, Ray, your character is not a complete copy. No. You're not looking. You didn't design your character, your Superman type character,
right?
Looking like Superman, completely looking like Superman. He's a mixture between you. He's a mixture between you and Superman. Okay, he's got everything that you wanted to do to somebody. Okay,
No, not quite. He's an ass.
Yes. I don't think you're getting enough. I'm gonna.
Well, I wrote that when I was very young. Those books were written.
Yeah, you was a very violent person. I know that goth treatment that you was treated in, and also you had the witness thing going on. You was killing your demons were killing you, man. You had to get it out. You got tired of
these. In the 90s, when I was writing that book, I was going through.
Ray, you got tired of it. I just, but I mean, when you make up a character, it's your first time making up a character, and even any character now, basically, it's basically you. It's you, and a lot of these new people coming out doing these characters are just fan boys. I'm not saying every single one of them.
No,
but a lot of them are just fanboys. The thing about it, yeah, go ahead.
No, the thing is that a lot of my stories come from my dreams because I have these bizarre, vivid dreams, and but you're right. Most people, and even I would say even most comic book artists, their stuff is derived from what they're reading. What's inspiring them, which is okay. But I mean, I'm different. I feel like everything that I ever wanted to write or have written or plan to write, it always comes from one source, and it's just the dreamscape, like that collective unconscious of ideas as I'm sleeping and wake up and write it down. Or, I mean, even The World Without Superheroes, when I started, I think it was issue number 5. That was the whole entire issue was right out of a dream. I literally woke up and drew the whole fucking issue, like roughly, I roughed it out and just laid it out exactly the way it happened. And it took me a year to finish the book, but the original concept, and it was like a missing page because, World Without Superheroes has over 12 issues, but I only published 5, 6, 7 of them. So, or 8, but I never published the earlier stuff, which I got to work on now, is because there was gaps in the story that I felt I couldn't solve, but it took me a decade to figure that out. And it took meditating and dreaming and thinking about these stories to and then I found it. I figured it out. Like, this is the missing link, the missing part that I needed, just
well,
like
my thing is, my characters are based on my first few characters were based on me and my friends.
Right.
And then I started taking those same characters based on things, temperament, and attitudes of those same friends.
Right.
Then years later, I started developing characters that was based on if I was upset, things that was going on in life, and you just start doing things. A lot of these people today, look, I'm even going to put it out there. I'm going to put this out there, and I want people to understand this. I'm going to put out the LGBTQ or the YAs and all that other stuff. As far as when it comes to whatever,
it's a genre.
When it comes to comic books,
Right.
you don't. I think we got into this talk with Gary. You don't take anything that's already been out there and then change it to what you feel it should be to represent you. What you do is that you create a new character based on what you want to do.
Right.
How your life is. Because when you create, it's a creation. It's yours. It's your template. That's why I see like this, that when we first started creating characters, it was based on what we were going through. It was based on how your life was. When you draw a comic book based on a good cop, what you think a good cop is.
Right.
Okay. It's what you think a good cop is. It's you.
Right.
You can't take Batman, change Batman and say that, oh, he's me. Or you can't take Dick Grayson and then say that now Dick Grayson is feminized, or however people want to put it.
Right.
And the thing is that, yeah, people change and this and this and that, but to a certain degree,
right.
These characters were created by their original creators, and it should stay that, honor those original creators. And
Well,
I think that
go ahead.
I think that for everybody else, for us to like characters that people create, no matter what their preference are, it's for us to like them for what they were created upon.
Right. Well, I think that it's generational. Every generation has their Superman, their Batman. I mean, even the Golden Age, you have to remember the Golden Age, Batman was a killer. And then in the Silver Age, he became this very campy Adam West styled character. But he was like Shadow, killing people with guns. And I think it's just based on generation. I mean, if you think about it, the Golden Age Flash was very different from the Silver Age Flash. I mean, they weren't changing his sexuality, but they changed his occupation. They changed.
But you also got to remember, it wasn't the same person. No, the two Flashes were different.
No, they were different. That's what I'm saying. They were different. They're not the same. And the same thing with the Green Lantern. The Alan Scott Green Lantern was a magical based character, and then you have to remember that the science, because we were going to the moon or planning to go to the moon, and everything was about the fucking moon and going to space. That we had more scientific superheroes, and that's why you have, and then you have Hiroshima, and that's why you have the Hulk with the atom bomb, and so because of World War II and because of the 1960s going to space, the space race, those comic books changed from gods to science beings, so it does change, but we weren't born, we weren't around. So I'm sure that somebody in the Golden Age was like, oh, fuck this comic book. Green Lantern was a magical character. Now he's a science person. And now they changed him again. Now he's not just science. He's basically essentially a police officer in space. Since the 80s, you had the Green Lantern Corps, which became more militarized, So,
well, I mean, still with that, once again, Ray, they're not the same person.
They're not. It's not. But that's that's my point.
You got to look at it today. What are they doing? They're not making it a different person. They're making it the person that it already exists as.
But what about Superman? Superman is still Clark Kent. He went from fighting goofy characters like Mxyzptlk and Toyman and Bruce Wayne is still Batman. But he's no longer a killer. He's which I don't understand is technically Damian Wayne, the Robin that's a killer that Batman accepts. Batman has his very hard code, but he made an exception, which is hypocritical to his own son. Technically, Damian Wayne should be a villain. He should be Batman's ultimate villain because it's his blood, because it's his son. But the fact that they made him a hero while he's murdering people, I mean, with Dick Grayson, it made sense when Dick Grayson was Batman, when he was introduced, that Dick Grayson he didn't really stick to that Batman code, or the Jason Todd, didn't stick to that Batman code. But Batman himself accepting his murderous son, who continues to murder people as Robin, doesn't make sense. That's bad writing, because in essence, that character hasn't changed, but now they're like, whoa, I'm going to understand. So then why are you locking people up for? Why are you attacking poor people? And, you're a millionaire. Why don't you just fund the mental health institutions? Why don't you build a better Arkham? Why don't you, like Bruce Wayne as Batman is a little silly. He's a rich guy with all this money. He spends all this money on this tech. But he's just beating up on poor people. You know what I mean? It's like, what I mean?
Yeah, I remember. He's technically a masochist.
Yeah, he's a masochist. But at the same time, it's limited thinking. If I wrote Batman, he'd be like the mayor of New York, or like, he would be like more like Wonder Woman's role. Like Wonder Woman, they changed her. She was more like she was a feminist, but she was also, like looking to help those rehabilitation. She was helping, like she fought Cheetah. She, at a certain point in the 80s, they stopped locking up characters, and I would say actually more in the 90s, because George Perez had her more like the War of the Gods and all the ancient Greek stuff. But they made her more a real hero. Like she even worked at a McDonald's and like a few issues. It's like Bruce Wayne should be someone that's apathetic, especially since he was a victim of crime. He should be, not apathetic. He should be more sympathetic. He should be sympathetic, but instead he's apathetic. But he should be more of a community-based person. That's what makes you heroic, not beating up on the mentally ill.
Yeah.
And more people. Don't be surprised if Batman gets canceled. Batman gets canceled because of that. It's like, but you really think about it. I like Batman. He's a great character. I mean, you can see I have that picture on the wall. I got a bunch of Batman stuff here. But in essence, Batman was a ripoff of Zorro. Zorro was a person who protected the poor and the innocent from the corrupt political parties, right? But the Batman is not protecting poor people. He's attacking poor people, So it's like, I mean, he's protecting the people that got them, but it's always the rich people, right? He's always at the ballroom. The Joker attacks the ballroom. The villains in the movies are always attacking the rich, and Batman's protecting the rich, And in the comic books, there may be some stories where he's protecting poor people, but essentially he's just beating up on the mentally ill, So and that's because you got a bunch of trust fund babies with no real experience and they're just writing. Like when we were kids, the comic books were great because, let's face it, everyone's children, so they had interesting stories. It was a tough, dirty, grimy New York. Daredevil fought in a dangerous area because Frank Miller probably lived in a dangerous area, or was inspired by dangerous things. I mean, it was, but now we live in a very clean, safe New York, it's
Where you get that from? Where you get that from?
Oh, safer than when we were kids.
It's going right back to the same thing. What are you talking about?
It's not the same. There's not. Yeah, you have little spurts of violence, but it's not the same, man. It's not. You're not gonna ride the fucking subway, take the 4 train, and go through like 12 stops of abandoned buildings, where from as far as the eye can see, it's like fucking Mad Max Thunderdome. You know what I'm saying? We're not going back to that. If anything, everything's gentrified. You got these fancy buildings. But I remember getting on the 4 train. As soon as it got into the Bronx, past 161st Street, every fucking building was burned down. For as far as the eye could see, you can see it's like, if you're in the South Bronx, you're going through blocks and blocks and blocks of abandoned shit, or like fucking Harlem, like when my dad worked on 125th and he'd take me to work. It's never going back to that. It's not.
No, it's not going back to that, but it is getting kind of out there.
People are people. People will always be crazy and violent in New York. That's just the spirit of New York. But these young people today have it super easy. Yeah, there's a lot of violence. It's just like the Asian hate thing, right? It's not new. It's just the media is paying attention to it. But as far as I'm concerned, since I was a kid, even being married to an Asian woman, there's always been violence and animosity towards Asians, because Asians are business drivers. They focus, they own a lot of businesses in Black and Hispanic communities, and there's resentment, point blank. I'll just say it. And that doesn't even go into the sexualization or objectification that we see in the media on television, of Asian people, like Full Metal Jacket and, Platoon and all these movies, they objectified, Asian people. It's nothing new. They've been doing this since the Asians were building the railroads. It's nothing new. It's just the media is paying attention to it now, but these are not. I mean, I remember growing up in the Bronx, living in the Bronx when I was a young man in my 20s, went and ordered some Chinese food. The restaurant was full on 225th and 226th. And then I went across the street to buy a gallon of milk. And I came back, the restaurant was empty, and there was a guy holding the door with his foot. And I didn't realize because there was a fire broke out under the train station. And while that fire was going on, the Chinese restaurant was being robbed.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize it because I just literally went across the street, bought a gallon of milk, went back, and everybody that was eating in the restaurant went out to see the fire. And then these two little knuckleheads went to rob the Asian takeout place. And literally, like the guy, I just grabbed my fist on the door. I didn't realize they were robbing the place because I'm a little slow. And I just like threw the door open, pushed the door open. I was like, what the fuck, man? And the guy had a knife in his hand. And then the other guy in the front had a gun. And I just looked at him. I was like, what the fuck is your problem? And all I was holding was a gallon of milk. But I was like holding it aggressively. And the guy with the knife looked at me and laughed and ran out. And then the guy with the gun looked at me, and I looked like a crazy motherfucker. You know, it's like I had my green hoodie on, you know, like Arrow and shit. And I had this gallon of milk, and I was really fucking pissed. Like, why are you holding the fucking door, stupid? You know, it's like, and I scared them. And then the guy ran out. They both ran out. And then the fucking Chinese guy came out with a sword. And I'm not talking about a blade or a machete. I'm talking like a full-on sword out the back and chased them down the block. You know, it's like
I'm just saying that the world today is just different. I mean, it's different, but it's still getting it's going to get back to that because we got our new we got Mayor de Blasio / Koch leaving office right now, and
but he was a Democrat though. You know, you gotta get.
So we're seeing who's coming in,
and we have to acknowledge that yes, the comic books are representing more LGBT people, but you have to understand it's different. You know, young kids today. You know, as a school teacher, we have a lot of students that are out. They're open. They're public about. It's not like we were kids.
That's fine. That's fine. You got to understand this. Look at the character Faith.
Graphic is what I'm saying. It's responding.
No, look at the character Faith. Yeah. Did you ever read that book, Faith?
I know it's the one with the big girl, but no, I never read it.
Okay, pick it up, read it. Okay. You would probably like it. It has a good story. Mm-hmm. It's a woman that suffers with depression, right. And she becomes a hero.
Yeah,
she's a character of her own that people can appreciate because she's her own character. She's not Batgirl. Batgirl became overweight, and now she suffers with depression. Overweight? No, I'm just giving an example. It's not a person in her own character.
Oh, okay. I got me lost for a second. I was like, Batgirl's overweight.
No, I'm just saying, like, you got to look at it. What are people afraid of about doing their own characters?
No, it's because they don't have ideas, and that's the bottom line. They have ideas, but they're not. Like I said, like everyone's gonna bring something to the plate. Like not everybody liked Spider-Man when he changed his costume to black. A lot of people did. Just like a lot of people hate the Batman movies. Like I don't care for the Batman movies, but a lot of people love them. Like people say that Michael Keaton is the best Batman. I thought he was the worst. And everybody that saw that movie said it was the worst. You thought he was the best or the worst?
I think he's the worst.
He's the worst. But people now, time forgives, right? Time heals all wounds, right? So it's like, I thought he was the worst, but people today say he was the best. And I was like, well, I remember working at a comic book store selling tickets for the Batman movie. And everyone in the theater was all comic book fans. And everyone said that movie fucking sucked. That was a full theater of just straight up comic book fans. Ninja Turtles, same shit. People love the Ninja Turtles movie now. Those movies were all garbage. Those are garbage movies because it's not the Ninja Turtles.
I'm gonna disagree with you on the first one.
The first one, that shit was whack. Come on, that shit was so corny. Come on.
is amazing. The first one is amazing. The only thing I don't like about the first one,
the makeup was good. The makeup was good, but it was corny as hell.
The story was decent for its time.
Yeah.
It had real martial arts in it.
Yeah. They weren't hitting each other with yo-yos and stuff like the third and second.
Yeah, the second and third one sucked.
It's like the Superman 4. Everyone was aspiring to be like Superman 3 and Superman 4 with Hollywood comic book movies. That's the thing I don't understand. And Deadpool's doing the same thing, and people love it. And I think Deadpool's trash. You know?
That's because all it is just jokes. So
it's just like Swamp Thing 2. I'm sure if they watch that, they'd love that too. Like put that on the CW. See something too. It's like
what, you mean the series?
No, I'm talking about that Heather Locklear movie. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like, hell no.
That was awful, horrible. But that's
I fell asleep.
That's what Deadpool is to me.
When it first came on cable, I fell asleep. There was nothing good about it. And that's what, 1980. Yes, wait.
88, 89. That's when Alan Moore was just finished his run on Swamp Thing. You'd think they would say, hey, let's do an Alan Moore Swamp Thing movie. They made the makeup look like Alan Moore, but then the comic book, they never even read it. They just made some bullshit Adam West styled Swamp Thing movie. And people complain about the first one.
You got to understand this. All I'm saying is that I think that people should develop their own characters. Don't stereotype your character, because a lot of people are stereotyping their characters.
That's hard to do because a lot of people are living the stereotype. If you really want to get truthful with it, you know?
But that's the problem.
You
know, one of the things I tell people, no matter what culture you are, do not stereotype yourself. You're better than that.
People do it.
But Ray, I'm gonna have to let you go, man. I'm gonna have to call
I was just going to wrap this up. We've been an hour and 41 minutes. Usually I try to do an hour and cut it loose, but it was good to have with you. I still got a ton of pages to ink. And actually I went with Tom and we went through the books of unfinished books that I have. The pandemic, I did 13 comics, and then I found 8 incomplete. Well, they're completed drawn, some are completed inked, but unpublished. So I have 20 unpublished books. You know, I have the second GI American, the second Brother Lone Star, the second, the third and fourth Ankh issue, the one that Kasim did, one that I did, and actually a 5th one that this other girl did that I had working on it before the pandemic.
Well, I just did this while we were talking, so.
That looks great. Who's that? Yeah. Is that Iron Fist?
Oh, that's my character.
Let me see him.
I don't want to show it again because this is the one that you said that guy took.
Oh, yeah. Right. But you know, that's what I'm saying. Just like there's a lot of stuff that we just have to focus on the positive. But it's just like Star Wars. Everyone hated that the last 3 Star Wars movies. But honestly, I didn't think they were that bad. I mean, honestly, they were entertaining. But it's not our Star Wars. It was the next generation Star Wars, you know?
I don't even think it was the next generation Star Wars. The last one took a story that we didn't even have. I was what? The
last one they had 8 fucking endings before they decided on one. So that was just lost. But the second one, like the Rose character, which I thought was a terrible character, everybody loved that character. They wanted to see more Rose in the next movie. I was like, why? But again, it's a generational thing. I don't relate to Rose. I think she actually hindered the mission. You know, Finn's trying to like crash the ship, and then she crashes into him and stops him. I'm like, what? And then that whole like pseudo love romance thing that they hinted is like, what happened? Ray was supposed to be with Finn. That was established in the first movie. Then it's Finn and Rose, and then there's Ray and Kylo, and that shit just didn't make any sense whatsoever. That's like
you know what it is?
I love with Darth Vader.
Subliminal messages. Sleep with everyone.
It just made no sense. No, it's just bad writing. It's too many hands in the pot. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
You know, writers' rooms destroyed storytelling. Like they say it's liberating, but really it's too many, too many hands in the pot. There should be 1 or 2 writers max, not 12 writers. That's why everything is Mod Podge and everything's like the same, because they go, even when watching HBO from show to show, they did Tulsa 1921 and Watchmen, then they did Tulsa and Lovecraft Country, and then they did Tulsa 1921 and another. It's like, how many times are you going to tell this story? It's the same writers. They're just putting in their input into their aspect of it, into other things. And there's nothing wrong with having stories of Tulsa 1921. There should be 100 of them, but they shouldn't all be the same. They shouldn't have the same beats. They should be uniquely different from each other. They should all have their own. There was a lot of people that died there. They should have research. Like, why don't you interview one of the surviving family members from that time period? Like, go back and do I'm gonna shut up. I might do that, but you know what I mean. It doesn't have to be the same beats,
Well, that's because I just look at it like people aren't creative enough. I mean,
right?
It's not that period. I mean, they're hiring people coming out of college and hiring people that have a political point of view only.
Right.
Not people that's doing the research and then deciding I want to write a good story. I want something. I want to pull people in to get them to stay watching this to where they can evaluate it. Watch. It's on Amazon. I think it's called They.
I saw it. That shit was great.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I love
all the characters have a horror.
Yeah.
That is happening in their lives. Of course you see that the black family has this haunting thing going on.
Which and then reminded me of Us too, the way that some of that was written with that pigtail.
Yeah, it had some relationship to Us, but Us.
Same girl too, right? Same girl, right? Same actress.
The one that played the little girl, yes.
Yeah.
And Us was the teenage girl in They, but when you look at a lot of things, it had more to it. It had a serial killer.
Yeah.
It had a haunting.
Mm-hmm.
It had a LGBTQ situation.
Yeah, it was like it had layers, like an onion.
It had police violence.
Mm-hmm.
It had several things. It had the racist point of view of housing.
Mm-hmm. True. The redlining, yeah.
It had so much.
It had poltergeist. The way that shit ended.
I mean, the housing situation is true. That the color coding was true.
Yeah. Still happening. It's still happening. They don't call it that, but it's still happening.
Yeah, but it's just that people need to write like that, and then go past it. And the best thing about it is that the guy that wrote it, he's a part of the LGBTQ community. Right, and he wrote a fantastic story with every different level of a human being society on it. Right,
true.
And this is what we need. We don't need writers of just one thing. You need writers that can write everything.
Correct.
But let me let you go. My phone is dying. I got 15%. We'll talk.
15%ers, right? Oh, so 5%ers.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, take care. Good talking to you, Chris. And that's it for Bronx Heroes Live, inking with Ray and Chris, right?
Yeah.
We went from talking about politics, LGBTQs, and fingers
and a finger up your butt. And a finger right up your butt. Later, man.
Conversation. That was inker and artist privilege.
No, that's not inker and artist. You gave it to the world.
It was so funny. I couldn't help it. It was just too hilarious.
Let me show everybody what she did. She did this. She went like this. You scratched that itch that you had.
Oh my God. I don't understand how anything can go in there. It's so painful. My God, awful, awful.
Hey, I think you liked it. I think you liked it.
No, he said, I think you liked it.
Let me let you go, man. Everybody take care. Hope to see y'all again.
Like, really?
Later, Ray. Later. Hanging up.
And we're out of here. Take care, guys.